I'm Rob Licuria, Senior Editor at Gold Derby, here with actress and author Fernanda Torres, star of Walter Silas's I'm Still Here, otherwise known as Ainda Estou Aqui. That's my best version of Brazilian Portuguese you're going to get today. Fernanda, this movie is so wonderful. And it occurred to me that you are playing with so much material in a very subtle way. And I know that the writers, Murilo Hauser and Heitor Lorega, that script keeps us, the audience, guessing about what is going on with Rubens as he's taken into custody in it's the same position that you're in as his wife. I'm just wondering, with that uncertainty, how did that inform your performance, particularly in that part of the film when Eunice has no idea what's going on and she's terrified, but she's got to keep things together for her family?
Yes, I think the performance and the character lives through this, through the fact that she doesn't know anything, like the audience doesn't know, because her husband didn't tell her in a very patriarchal society, even in progressive families, that he was the guy. She was like totally dependent on him, but she was a very intelligent, not just a housewife. She's a very intelligent woman. They're a very strong couple, but he never told her, because what happened is that he was in exile before. After the coup d'etat in Brazil, he had to go in exile. And when he came back, he promised her that he wouldn't be involved in politicians anymore, because she had to live like 1 year without him with 5 children. So he broke it and didn't tell her. And at the same time, you understand why he broke it, because, as a friend says, it's not possible in a situation like that to do not do anything. So she understands it, but at the same time, he leaves her in a position where she doesn't know what is going on. And she discovers that he was involved in the letters, bringing and delivering the letters during the question. How do you say interrogatory?
Into the when you're being interrogated, yeah.
Yeah. So that's when she discovers. And there are so many layers of feelings. I mean, the feeling of being betrayed, together with the fact that she cannot, the guy is using it against her, and she doesn't want to say that her husband has betrayed her. At the same time, he was trying to protect her. So many layers of doubts and anger and fear, and to do this in a tragic story, which is not a melodrama. It's not something that you just relay on your self-pity. No, you have to be strong. So Eunice is such a profound character with so many contradictions. The fact that she doesn't tell their children what happened to their father. She doesn't do it, I think, because she's not capable of. I mean, she would have to tell the same story 5 times, because each one had an age. And also because I think she wanted to preserve the kind of innocence in her children. A certain belief that humanity exists. So it's so profound. So profound. And I think Walter did the right choice to leave the audience in the same state as she is. That's what creates empathy in the movie, I think. I've never worked with such a profound character. So many layers, so many layers.
That's such an interesting point, because I was feeling very, very scared and confused and feeling for the family. And that's precisely where I think the audience needs to be for later on. Talk us through the challenge, Fernanda, of portraying a real life person, honoring her legacy while overcoming the challenge of meeting maybe preconceived expectations of who she was.
You know, again, Walter lived in that house. So I think he had like a promise that he made to himself that we couldn't, the film couldn't look like fiction. He's a documentarist. So I remember once I was doing a fitting test, and the costume designer, she's very good. She came with two wonderful dresses, very 70s, that for me was perfect. And then Walter said, no way, no way, it's not, I want things that look like normal. So we don't look like the 70s in fiction. We don't act like we are in fiction. The light, the cinematography doesn't look like fiction. And that's Walter, I think. The way, for instance, he shoots the party. In that party in the beginning, all of those actors are our friends. We're really having a party, dancing Juca Chaves in that house that reminded me so much of my house in my youth. So I think Walter had this promise that he made to himself to be an honest, truthful film. And I think he did it. And he did it in a way that sometimes he almost disappears in the movie. It's a very, it's something that only I think a mature director would do, that just to do not show, look how well I shoot, or what a beautiful traveling, look how well I can move this camera. You almost forget that someone is directing it. It looks like real life, which is very rare in the cinema nowadays. We had it in the 70s in films when Coppola and Scorsese, when they appeared, films smelled, films had like sweat, people looked like normal, but we lost it in a way. We all became a bit plastic in the movies. I don't think if it's because of the superhero era that influenced the whole cinema. We all looked a bit like cartoons, and not in this movie.
Yeah.
Not in Anora, in Anora also. Anora, Sean Baker, people look like real.
Yeah.
And this is tough.
It is tough. That authenticity is not an easy thing to achieve. And I feel like there are certain scenes, for example, the interrogation scenes that you raised earlier. Eunice is held for 12 days, denied contact with her family, and you can hear the screams in the other rooms. During production, when you're filming those scenes, I assume you're very supported by cast and crew, Walter and the producers. But is it difficult to perform and to portray a character who is in such a dangerous situation where you don't want to go overboard?
I was totally afraid to go to that prison because, you know, the house we were shooting, it's a paradise in Rio. It's in Urca, which is a neighborhood that you only have houses, you have the bay with the boats, beautiful lighting. Beautiful. So I just loved to wake up, get in my car. I always, every day was like listening to Ella Fitzgerald because I thought was a music that Eunice liked to listen. And I was thinking, my God, what a dream to work in Urca. And one day I was taken from Urca to an awful place to do very heavy scenes. And as we shot chronologically, everything that happened to her was pretty much happening to me. I mean, the day Selton left the film was the day he left the film. It was the day Rubens left the family. And I thought, I'm going to miss him because I love Selton. It's my great partner. So, and this is Walter again, the chronological thing that allowed us to leave what she left. When I came back to that wonderful place, I was not the same anymore. And the house was not the same anymore. So it helped a lot, you see, to develop some kind of honest emotion inside us.
What I've found most compelling, Fernanda, about your performance is how Eunice is stoic and resilient. but she shields her inner turmoil, her rage, her sorrow, which bubbles under the surface, and you can see it in your eyes. But you don't go too far, because I think that would take us out of the moment. Is it difficult to achieve that balance between strength and vulnerability for a character like this?
Very much. It's like I told you, I've never worked with something like this where you have to restrain emotions. I have two kids and I raised four boys because my husband had one. So I know the feeling that a mother has towards its family. It's very instinctive. You protect them, doesn't matter what. And I think Eunice had it, but at the same time, she had a femininity that I lack. So I have, in a way, to develop the smile, the always present smile that Eunice has no matter what. And this balance between the gentleness, the femininity, the strength, and the anger, and all in the same person, restrained in order to keep the family calm. It's something that I've never dealt before.
Yeah. And I found that really profoundly moving. I'll tell you why. Because any of us who have close relationships with our mothers, we know that mothers are so strong, they generally hold the family together in most instances. And Marcelo Rubens Paver's book is essentially about his mother's heroism, but her heroism without looking for being in the spotlight. And that is such a thing
Never.
that's so maternal. What did that resonate with you as well?
This is, she's a woman from the 50s who was young in the 50s, raised to be a housewife. She cooked perfectly. She could do receptions. She had all the skills that a perfect housewife should have at that time. At the same time, she was very intellectual. She was like the first student of her university. She did university. Um, Her father said, "Why are you going to university? You won't use it for anything." So this Eunice was there, and I asked Marcelo if he thinks his mother would become herself if Rubens was alive. What kind of woman would she be if she would continue to be the perfect wife of that great man? And in a way, this is very strange in this story because this tragedy forces her to become herself. Yeah, but she never did it in order to be recognized to the world, which is something very feminine. She never had this. She wanted to be recognized through the law, through justice. She wanted the government to assume what they did, what it did. But she never wanted to say, even when she was like protecting the indigenous reserves, talking to Sting and Raoni every day, she was a very important woman. She made part of the constitution, the new constitution of Brazil. But she never, and this nowadays, where everybody's like selling themselves every day in the internet, where the recognition, the public recognition, is so wanted. Everybody's like a star of themselves. This woman is such a remind of what is important in life. And I think it's a very, I compare her to a Greek, I really compare her to a Greek character from the tragedies.
Yeah,
To one of those great characters, you see,
yeah,
that in a
absolutely.
way teaches us how to be honorable in
Yeah,
life, you see.
yeah. Yeah. I
And
always like to think
also
of,
now in Brazil, it's strange because this film is coming out together with the discovery that really there was a coup d'etat happening. And a lot of people thought during the last 5 years that if we had like a liberal economy with a bit of authoritarianism, that would be fine. That perhaps democracy was the problem. You see, that perhaps that was the problem. Too much
yeah,
liberty, democracy. So if we have like a strong government with liberal economy, it's fine. Now there are people who are watching the movie and saying, I'm a right wing, but why am I so moved by this film if I'm a
yeah,
right wing? And I was teached in the last 5 years that this kind of people are communists, uh, against the family, against religion,
yeah, yeah.
dirty
Culture
people.
wars. Yeah,
So this film, through this woman, through the novelty of this woman, are teaching Brazil young people about dictatorship and older people who believed that a strong government with a liberal economy would solve our problems. I like
yes.
thinking twice. It's very important, you see.
It's so prescient. This is happening around the world. It's happening in America as we speak. And uh, this is a lesson that,
As the Cold War, as the dictatorships in Brazil was not, or Argentina or Chile, was not because we are banana republics. It
no,
was because of Cold War, you see. So she is a victim of the Cold War, this family, of that
so many,
insanity.
that's right. And so many are. And these days, the seduction of authoritarianism exists. And we need to see films like this to remind us, for example, when the girls are on the beach, I think it was Ipanema or Copacabana, and then they're in the tunnel, and suddenly the world changes when they are held at gunpoint. That is real, and so that's why this film is so powerful. And I totally agree with you, Fernanda. I have one more question because we're running out of time, and that is, of course, your
And
legendary mother,
I've talked too
Fernanda.
much.
No, it's fantastic. Your legendary mother, Fernanda Montenegro. She's one of my favorite actors of all time. To see her on the screen again brought a tear to my eye. And I remember when she was nominated for the Oscar in 1999, I think, for Central do Brasil. And um, I tell you, I must admit to you, really, it would be so beautiful to see you nominated again for another Walter Salles film. You'd be 59, she was 69. It's almost like the gods are saying this must happen. What do you think?
I think that the presence of my mother and me in this movie with Walter and repeating in a way a film about Brazil with things to say to the world, because Brazil is very isolated. And once in a while, we have things to say to the world. And Walter is a world director, is a Brazilian director, but he has this connection. So to have this fairy tale of having a movie with both of us, with the probability of another nomination, in a way is to say that art has prevailed. It's prevailed, the word. Is it
Yeah.
prevail,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
word?
prevail. I think you would say prevailed. Yeah, why not?
Yes,
Art wins. Art wins in the end, right?
yes, art has resisted in
Yes.
a powerful way that as Eunice teached Marcelo to be the writer that he is, that one day would write the book about her. My mother has taught me about this profession, and she raised me in the theater. And now we do something together that perhaps will make the same path, great path that she did, and that it's so difficult to happen in Brazil due to the language we speak, due to everything, to be in a country like Brazil. So the powerful message in this is that Eunice, Marcelo, me and my mother, art resisting in the most powerful way, you see. So it's a
beautiful.
film. It's a film. I think there are many symbologies involved in this film.
Yeah,
And also
absolutely.
the fact that Walter, when Walter was doing it, I wanted very much Walter to enjoy making this movie. He was coming back to Brazil and he was doing a movie about him because he was in that house. He was opening again a house that one day was closed to him, a house that introduced him to Brazil. So many layers of the importance of art, of the resistance of art, of the importance of freedom, and all of that made like Eunice teached us to do. I mean, not in a, how do you say, in a,
she's not melodramatic and
or
angry and
pushy or
not
angry,
necessary. No,
screaming, saying
no,
we are. No, with civility,
yeah,
humanity, and dignity.
quiet power, and resilience and resistance. And it's an amazing story. To see the final frame is the family portrait with the older version of Eunice, played by your legendary mother. I had tears, and it's a great film, Fernanda. Congratulations on a beautiful
And you know
performance.
that in that last scene, a lot of people in that last photographs are Paiva members.
Really,
Yeah.
what a special moment! It's a special film. I hope everyone gets to see it. Thank you for your time today, Fernanda. Thank you for your insight.
Thank you
Really
very
appreciate
much
it.
for helping us making this film gain some attention.